artificial intelligence can be seen as something new, something fancy, something shiny, but we know, at least within Behavox, that we've had it for years. It's here to stay. Not only that, it's very effective in what we do specifically. How is it that you find that artificial intelligence is actually revolutionizing the space that you're in? Or if not revolutionizing, then at least aiding and helping in the progress of it?
Well, I'd like to sort of answer that in two parts. So the first part is this, it's a really important part. This idea is AI a fad? So, one of my claims to fame is I was working on AI back in the 1990s. And even then it was established. It was being used, though, for things like credit card fraud detection, things like that. So that's the first. So it's not new. It is here to stay. I think what's happened, however, is things, particularly like ChatGPT, they're suddenly in the public domain. It's ChatGPT is a great piece of technology, no two ways about it, but it is essentially a consumer piece of technology. So that's captured our imagination, and when we see it, we all interpret it as something new. It's all exciting. It's wonderful. So that's I think just to put that as a little bit of extra context. In terms of how we use AI, we use AI in our product stack there's at least three ways that I'm aware of, and there may be some others, right? So the very first thing is we sit on top of huge amounts of data for our customers, and how that data is, and this is going to sound really boring and prosaic, I'm afraid, but how that data is stored and indexed is really important and affects how it's searched for, right? So we are using AI under the covers. No one sees it. And what it's doing is it's not looking at the things that we do in terms of, you asked about Farine or you asked about Michael, but it is looking at the kind of queries we're running. And it is slowly in the background, when it gets enough data of how we use the system, it starts tweaking and changing the performance. And so that's one level, and that's just the most basic level in our infrastructure that's going on. We then also use it, probably most visibly, is our large language model. And we're very lucky to have this focused large language model. And so we can bring that, and that brings all the understanding and contextual information and regulatory background, all pile of other things to the fore in a way that's very accessible for the user. And of course, the great thing that is when things are accessible or usable, people will use them, right? And the minute people start using the technology, the company's getting the value from their investments. That's really, really important. But the other piece between those two things, and I think this is really important, and I apologize if it sounds like a soundbite, but it really is important. Our technology, though, with incredibly deep foundations in both AI, but actually just in terms of search and archiving and surveillance, and we've been doing it for over a decade, it is AI technology. And we are building the solutions to these business problems on the AI technology. Now, you think of practically everybody else in this industry, I think, and most other industries, what are they doing? They're adding an AI chatbot on top of the technology. So, okay, you've got this incredible piece of technology here, but underneath is still the same old antiquated garbage in, garbage out system that you had yesterday. So what you have now is a very powerful, intelligent thing acting on top of your data, but it's still the old data, and it hasn't been enriched, hasn't been optimized. So they're the three ways we use it. So just to sort of recap, we are using it in terms of optimizing the way the environment operates. We are using it in terms of give you natural language interaction with the data that you have and the detection, use that in detection. But also we have got compliance solutions built on AI rather than AI bolted onto a compliance solution.
You talked a little bit about specialized large language models. I know that that's the cornerstone of what we do, and it's something that we've invested over hundreds of millions of dollars into. It's something that we believe in strongly, and we have seen the output and the success of. How is it that you feel that differentiates from the rest of the market, but also what is that true value within that specialized model that you see?
Okay, so first of all, in terms of how to differentiate, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, this has been a huge investment, and I spent all my career working with software and software development for enterprises, and that's a very failure-intensive business. Building AI language models, it's no better. I don't have the stats, but I'm sure it is 70-80% failure rate as it is with software. So the fact that we've gotten through all of that, and we've got this point where we've got this very sophisticated, advanced model is a incredible competitive advantage for us, but a massive enabler for our firms. And I would simply say, if you don't believe me, or if you want to see what I'm talking about, I would simply say the following. let's sit down with Pathfinder. So our Pathfinder product is a lovely product. It's really simple to understand. And the reason it's simple to understand is you have some text or some regulations and you can interact with it in natural language directly. And so, I would say, just look at that. And that's actually, that proof will be in the pudding. You put in some of the questions and, like one of our colleagues, Adam, is always good for coming up with these. We can ask questions of, for example, ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT is a fantastic piece of technology. But it will give you a very amusing answer. It might even write you a haiku, but it won't answer the question correctly. Our business-specific large language model allows us to actually understand the context, but not just will it give you the right answer, it will explain the answer to you. And if the question was something like a procedural question, it will actually say to you, well, according to your procedures or your policies, this is the answer, but actually according to the regulations, this is the answer. And so please be aware of that full context. And so it's like having an expert by your side the whole time. And I think that's just fantastic.